Okay, so today we're going to tackle partitioning this 38 meg hard drive of ours. We're going to basically do 5 partitions that are evenly spaced. So I'm going to boot up with this LSDOS 631 and we're going to use a program called RSHARD, Radio Shack hard drive, hard disk, whatever. So RSHARD 6 is what we're going to use. So there's the green light showing we're ready to roll. And let's get this a little zoomed in a little here. So let's turn this guy on. And let's initialize this hard drive. We're going to do device 2 because 0 and 1 are the floppies. And we're using RSHARD 6 as the driver. Where did I mess up? System device equal to disable, driver equal. Well, I'm not sure why this is giving me a parameter error here. Oops. Let's try this again. Oh, not device. Drive equals 2. There we go. Okay. Enter the drive address. We're going to use 1 and it's a fixed drive. Enter the step rate. We're going to default it to 10. Enter the physical tracks per surface. Now we have 733 cylinders. This is a 35 meg hard drive. It's got 733 cylinders and it has 5 heads. Just so you know. So that's what we're going to enter. The total number of heads we have on this hard drive is 5. So enter the partition's number of heads, 5, and the number of cylinders that we're going to have in this partition here is going to be 149. Why? Because we have 733 cylinders. I want to partition this in 5 equal drives. 733 divided by 5 is a little over 146. So 146 times 5 is 730. So I have 3 extra cylinders. So I'm going to just go ahead and use them up right here up front. Okay, so that is drive 2. Let's go ahead and do drive 3 next. Okay, same thing. The number of heads is 5. And the number of cylinders this time I'm going to use is 146. Okay. Okay, so this is drive 4. So we got 2, 3, 4. So we need 5 and 6, 2 more after this one. $146, that's all we have left. So there you go. So now we have 5 partitions. So what are we going to do next? So I want to be able to boot up off this floppy. So I'm going to have the first partition be ultimately drive 0. I'm going to swap it with the disk drive here. So bottom line is drive 2 is going to be our system. So first things first, let's go ahead and format. Drive 2. And we're going to do a master password of password. And we're going to name it hard drive A, hard A. Okay. So let's do that. Okay, so this had a partition earlier in it, but we're going to wipe them all out. I'll cut the track manually, no, and we're going to let this format. So it's going to go through 149 cylinders, and we'll let this run, and then because this is fast, it'll go through 149, but then it's going to verify each one, and that's going to take about 15 minutes. So we'll let this thing run, and then we will come back. Okay, so now that partition 2 has been formatted, and that's the one that we want to use for our system, what we're going to do is back up our system disk, which is on drive 0 here. Okay, so now what I want to do is back up my hard drive partitioning utilities over to that system disk as well, just in case we need it at some point in time later. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do, which I probably should have done before copying so I wouldn't have had to go back and forth to the floppy to get the system, is I'm going to make this drive my system drive, drive 2. So that will now become drive 0. So okay. This is telling it that I want drive 2 to be the new system drive. Okay, so drive 2 and 0 have now been swapped. All right, so now we're going to start formatting the rest of the partitions that we have, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so while that's going on, and by the way, this enter the master password is only because apparently there were partitions already on this drive. That's why I just basically, we're just starting over. But if you started from a scratch drive that hasn't already had partitions on it, you're not going to see enter a master password. It's just going to go right straight to the lockout request. All right, so we'll come back. This will take a while, 146 cylinders it has to go through. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. Okay, so it finished 146 cylinders on drive 3, so let's format drive 4 next. Okay, we're nearing the end of this. You can see there's a few cylinders in there that it had issues with, but overall, not too bad. So let's keep going. Okay, we're wrapping this guy up and we got one more partition left to go. Okay, so when we come back, we got just a few more small housekeeping things to go through. One is the hard drive check on, well, it's now drive 0 since we swapped it. It was drive 2, but since that's where we put the system files, we're going to do a hard drive check on that to make sure that everything is readable on that. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a sysgen going back to the GoTech floppy as well as the hard drive itself. We might even put it on a physical floppy as well. So those are the housekeeping things that are left to do after this is done, so stay tuned. Okay, so now that we got this done, we basically have all our partitions formatted, and there you go. A, B, C, D, E. Drive 1, drive 2. Okay, so this should read all the floppies, both floppies now that I got the USB in here. Oh, there we go. All right. So what we're going to do now is going to do a hard drive check on drive 0. So for that, we do HD check, and then I'm going to do it on drive 0. And then we're going to do two parameters called lock and write. So what these will do is they'll lock out, well, the lock anyways will lock out any bad sectors that it finds. And the write just gives it a more thorough test. So let's do this. Did I copy HD check over? I may not have done that. Let me see. HD check 6. That's the one we want. Okay, so we'll wait for this to happen. This will go through 146 cylinders. And once this is done, the only thing we have left to do is to basically do the sysgen over to the hard drive, as well as to a couple of, I have a couple of floppies imaged onto the GoTech that we'll do as well. So that way we can enable booting. So RSHARD, Radio Shack Hard 6 here, this doesn't allow the boot up. This driver doesn't allow the boot up from the hard drive. I'm not sure the TRS driver does or not, but I know that this one doesn't. So you do need a boot drive in order for it to map the hard drive as 0 and boot off of it. You still need the boot disk, but we always have the GoTech on when we boot up, and we basically can flick that switch over to make it the 0 drive initially, and then it'll perform the swap, and then it'll boot up off the hard drive. Huge rigmarole, I know, not what we're used to in current times, but that's the way it goes. So, all right, so stay tuned. We'll get back when this finishes. Okay, here I wanted to show you the hard drive check. This is why we do it. So it ran into a problem on cylinder 13, sector 73, and it's asking us, do we want it locked out? We're going to say yes. If we hadn't put this lock parameter in there, it would have skipped this. So we're going to say yes and let it continue. And that way that sector will be locked out and we won't be able to use it going forward. All right, reaching cylinder 149 because that had a few more cylinders than the rest. So only one error was locked out. That's pretty good for a hard drive that's, you know, vintage 80s here. All right, so now we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to basically set the GoTech up to LSDOS 631, a system partition that's already on there, and I'm going to do a sysgen. And first I'm going to do drive 0. That's the hard drive. Oh, gosh. I am so used to current keyboards. That equal sign is killing me. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. On drive 1. I have two partitions here that are LSDOS 631, so I'm going to do it to the other one as well. Do this again. Oh, okay. I guess my disk space on that drive was full. Wonder why. Got in here. Oh, because I put in the RSHARD files in here too. Is this a delete command? I'm not sure. Okay, that's all right. We won't worry about this one. I already got it on the other partition. What I'm going to also do though is I'm going to put it on the floppy. I'll make another floppy if I need to, but I'm going to get this write protect tab off here. Okay, so we got the notch back on. Boy, that really did a job on it. Okay, so I'm going to switch this back, so that's going to be 1. Okay, so what should happen now is I should be able to boot up cleanly from the floppy here, and either the floppy or this one actually. Put this back. I should be able to start up and then it should recognize the hard drive. So let's check it out. I've never had this system on this long. It's been almost 2.5 hours. I heard the hard drive going, then there's the swap that took place. And there you go, drive 0, hard drive A, and the rest of the drives. So we are done. At this point, I'm just going to start copying files over to each of the partitions. One partition for games, one partition for, utilities and what have you. So, yeah, this worked out really well. So I hope you got something out of this. I looked all over the internet on how to use RSHARD and how to, and how best to partition and the commands to use. And there was just literature that was hodgepodge. So I figured, hey, I'd show you from start to finish how this is all going to take place. So there you go. That's how you partition. That's how you format using RSHARD. TRS, the initiation disk, and doing it with the TRS-DOS isn't all that much different. There's probably some nuances, but this is pretty much the de facto hard drive partitioner that everybody has been using back in the day. So that's why I decided to use this, and it works with LSDOS 631, which is also the OS of choice, at least for me, anyways. So because it's easily backward compatible. So there you have it. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks for watching. And like I always say, you only live once. So, live it like it's like it's the end. So take care. Peace out. Where is that peace sign? There it is. Word.